now we will begin the right-hand side. So, the measurements for the pieces you will need for the right-hand side are as follows. 2 pieces that measure 4 3/4 by 6, 2 of those. 2 pieces that measure 4 1/4 by 7 1/4. 2 pieces that measure 3 3/4 by 6 1/2. 2 of those. And 2 pieces that measure 3 3/4 by 6 3. Okay, so I'm going to repeat each of those. So these ones are 3 3/4 by 6 3, 3 3/4 by 6 1/2, 4 1/4 by 7 1/4, and 4 3/4 by 6. So you need 2 of each of those. Okay, and we'll bring out our scoreboard. Okay, so for the pieces that measure 4 3 by 6, you need to score at, put it in your scoreboard with the 4 and 3 at the top, and score at half and 3/4. Do that to each of them, half and 3/4. Okay, set those aside. For the 2 that measure, what did I do next? So the 2 that measure 4 1/4 by 7 1/4. Each of those get scored at half with the 4 1/4 along the top. So half and half. Okay. For the 2 pieces that measure 3 3 by 6 1/2, those get scored with the 6 1/2 along the top. Score at half. And lastly, the 2 pieces that measure 3 3 by 6 3. Put them in your scoreboard with the 6 3 along the top. Score at a half and 5/8. So just the next tick over there. So half and 5/8, just so you have that tiny little, short little gusset, small little gusset. Okay, so that is all the scoring you need to do. Set your scoreboard aside and we will begin putting score tape on each of those pieces. So on each one of the 1/2 inch sections, so this one has a 1/2 inch and then the 1/4 inch gusset, just put the score tape on the 1/2 inch. And same with this one here, make sure that it is only on the 1/2 inch section, not this 1/8 inch gusset. Okay, so apply score tape to all the 1/2 inch parts. And if you prefer, you can use wet glue for all of this if you prefer. I just find it easier to do this. And now we are going to miter all of those corners. So just from the 1/2 inch score line. So don't cut off, leave that gusset intact. Okay, now get rid of all those little bits and fold on all of your score lines. And you should be burnishing all of these, making sure they're well creased. And I didn't mention, I haven't mentioned the whole valley mountain thing. I'm assuming most of you probably already know it now, but just in case someone's new to doing this, when you score something, you create an indent, a valley, and then on the other side you create a bump, or a mountain as it's referred to. So to help keep the paper from cracking, you always make your fold so that your valley turns into a mountain and vice versa. So now, so that was a valley, an indent, but now it's a raised edge, and the opposite goes. So that just helps strengthen the paper so that it doesn't crack or rip as you're working it. All right, now we can start putting it all together. We will first attach your 4 3/4 by 6 pieces. So remove the score tape backing. And like on the other side, we're going to do it opposite of what that is. So one of them will go to the right top part of your chipboard. Okay, so your gusset is off the chipboard, right? So it creates this. All right, I don't know if you can see that. That's the gusset right there. So it's there so because there's going to be a lot of layers here. So this way it goes over nicely. And then the other one, take off your score tape backing, and it is going to go at the bottom left, right to the edge of the chipboard, and even with the bottom. Oh, wasn't in the right spot. There we go. Even. Okay. Oh, no, I'm still crooked. Jeepers. Come on, Katya. There we go. The light in my studio here is just horrible, so sometimes it's difficult to get things lined up. Next, we will be taking the 3 3/4 by 6 3/4, the ones with the tiny 1/8 of an inch gusset, and remove the score tape backing, and they will go centered right at the very top. And then we will take the other one, and it will go on the bottom. So kind of line it up with the one that you just did here, just to make sure they're even. Alright, perfect. Open those up, and now we are going to adhere our 6 1/2 by 3 3 pieces. Now this is going to be just like a waterfall, so you're going to adhere it right underneath. So you've got, I'll just bring it out closer so you can see. So right here is your 1/2 inch piece. Now this piece is going to go right butted up to it. Okay, just like a waterfall. Okay, and we'll do the same with the other one, but on the bottom. So make sure you're even here. Okay, and now your last two pieces, your 4 1/4 by 7 1/4 should fit perfectly within those. So remove the backing. And one to the left side. And then one to the right side. Right up to the score lines, but not over top. Okay, so those will fold like that, and then these will come down. And oh, I'm a little bit high. Am I a little bit high? Oh no, we're good. So there's going to be a swing tab here. We'll put that on once we add the pattern paper. And then there's going to be another swing tab here. And then that closes up, and that closes up. Okay, so now we're just going to add a few magnets. We're going to have swing tabs, so we don't really need magnets here. I am going to put one magnet closing these two. So in the center and about in a, 1/2 an inch, 3/4 of an inch from the left-hand side. Place two magnets stuck together. Another piece of score tape. Remove the backing and close her up. Perfect. And now you can make these swing tabs magnetic if you desire, but it's not necessary. And then we'll also have a magnet holding this closed here. Somewhere around there. Place your two magnets there. Remove your score tape backing, and there you go. Alright, so that is the right side. Okay, folks. Now we're going to start on the bottom portion. So your measurements you will need are as follows. You will need some cardstock measuring 3 1/2 by 9. One piece, 3 1/2 by 9. You will need one piece measuring 3 1/2 by 8. You will need one piece measuring 4 1/2 by 8. And you will need two pieces measuring 8 1/2 by 4, or 4 by 8 1/2, either way. So 8 1/2 by 4 times 2. 4 1/2 by 8, 1. 3 1/2 by 8, 1. 3 1/2 by 9, 1. And one of those is what I'm saying. Okay, so let's get our scoreboard out. We'll make all of our score marks. Okay, so on the two pieces that measure 8 1/2 by 4, with it along the 8 1/2 inch side, score at 1/2 an inch. And then you're going to flip your paper over and score again at 4.5. Okay, and this is where that mountain valley thing comes into play, because these are both going to be folding different directions, these score marks. Okay, so again, 1/2 inch. Flip the paper over and 4.5. Okay. On, what do I have next? Okay, this one is the 3.5 by 9. This is going to be a pocket. So with it in the scoreboard at the 9-inch side, score at 1/2 and 8.5. Turn it 90 degrees and score either at 1/2 or 3, just so one of the sides has a 1/2 inch score mark. Okay? And next we've got the 3.5 by 8. Okay, this one is going to be scored at 1/2 along the 3.5 inch side. And lastly, you have your 4.5 by 8, and it is scored at 1/2 on the 4.5 inch side. Alright, so that's all the scoring you need to do. Now fold all of these and put score tape on the 1/2 inch sections. Hope everybody's with me so far. This is a pretty simple tutorial. This one you can probably do in an afternoon. Simple but effective. It's I think it looks more in depth than it actually is. So on the pocket part, make sure to put your score tape on all 3 edges where there is a 1/2 inch section. And then make sure to put the score tape. I pretty much always put the score tape. It should be on the side that has the valley. That's why I tend to do it before I do my folding. I find it easier, but totally up to you. You can do it. You can do the score tape and the folding and the mitering in whatever order you want, as long as all 3 of them get done. Alright, so now we will miter all the corners. For the pocket, cut at an angle to where the score lines meet, and then do the same on the other side. So what you get is oh, I didn't cut quite far enough in. So where the score lines meet, you get kind of like that. Okay. And the last 2. Okay, now we can fold on all of our score lines and then start putting things together. Okay, fold these as well. All right, excellent. So let us begin. We will start with the pocket. Okay, so the pocket's going to go down at the bottom of your page here. So remove the side score tape backing first. Come on. I like to do the sides first and then flip the bottom up into it. So what this does is now you've got like a nice channel for your pockets, your tags to go in. If you put the bottom up and then the sides, the bottom has like a little bit of a the tags can sometimes catch, but this way there's a nice smooth channel for the tags to slide down into. Okay, and now we will adhere this to the bottom, lined up all nice and as perfect as you can. Easy peasy. That's that. Now we will attach the 4.5 by 8 piece to the top section. Okay, and now just kind of feel where the edge of your chipboard is, and that's where you're going to put it. And now your square bits, the opening here, so this one's going to go to the right and this one's going to go to the left. Okay, so you need to adhere them onto this flap you just put down and right to the edges. So remove the score tape backing right to the edge, and the other one right to the edge, and make sure they're nicely lined up and not overlapping. You don't want them to overlap because you want to make sure that they're able to open. And I'm going to move this one over just like the tiniest bit. I'm amazed that I'm actually being able to get that back up. Okay, fabulous. Excellent. And now we lift this whole piece up. And now this small little journaling spot is going to sit right here. You could make it slightly longer if you want. You know, you make it 4 by 8 if you prefer to have a slightly larger journaling spot. I just made it a small one. Okay. So we will take this score tape backing off that, and that just goes right above the score line. Have I gotten anything on completely straight today? I don't think so. I'm gonna be honest that I've got an eye appointment in a few days because my eyes have really been bothering me, and I think that I need a new, stronger prescription. I'm getting old. I'm getting old. The eyes are going. Okay, so now we can do a few magnets. So we'll put one, or if you prefer, you could do a swing tab here. I mean, that's an option as well. Do I want a swing tab or do I want magnets? I'm going to leave that for now. I think I might do swing tabs there. Oh, but I do want a magnet. I am going to do a magnet here, attaching it to down here. So let's do that. Okay, so right about there, just enough room for the paper to be able to cover it. Two magnets. And fold that up. And now these both need magnets going to the center. Okay, so one piece of score tape over here. One over here. And two magnets on either piece of score tape. And another piece of score tape on top. And then magnets on either side here. And on this side. Okay, and that is that. Alright, so now we will start on the top. So the pieces of cardstock you will need to cut. You will need two pieces measuring 6.5 by 5.25, two of those. And then you will need 5 pieces measuring 7 by 4.75, 5 of those. Okay, so get those cut. You can pause the video if you want, and then we will start scoring. So grab your scoreboard. So the two pieces measuring 6.5 by 5.25, you are going to put them into the scoreboard on the 5.25 inch side. You are going to score at half and at 3/4 on each of them. Half and 3/4. Okay, and then on the 5 pieces measuring 7 by 4.3, you will be scoring those at half with it sitting at the 7 on the 7-inch side at the top. So half an inch for each of those. This is going to be your waterfall feature. And the last one. Okay, put your scoring board away, and then we will fold all of those, add your scored tape, fold and miter. Okay, so add your score tape to all of them and then fold, crease with your bone folder. I don't know where mine is, I'm gonna have to find it. And then, oh, it's right here. And then miter your corners like that. Okay, so do that to all of them on the two pieces that have the gusset. Make sure to just put your score tape on this 1/2 inch. Do not go over your gusset. So I'm going to do all that and we'll come right back and continue. Okay, so this is what you should have now. You've got your 5 pieces that are all folded with the score tape, mitered corners, and then these 2 pieces look like that. Okay, so we're going to start with these 2, the 6.5 by 5 1/4. They are going to go up and down right here. Now, if you want to be really precise, you can measure the very center of this and the center of this and line them up. I'm just going to eyeball it because that's what I tend to do. But yeah, if you want to be precise, then by all means do that. So one goes right to the top. You're going to have just over 1/2 inch on either side. And then the other one is going on the bottom. So just with your finger feel where the edge of that is. Make sure they're lined up together. Okay, perfect. Now we've got this 1/4 inch gusset here, just so that when all your waterfall with the pictures and the pattern paper is in here, it's going to create some bulk. So this will make it so that it goes over very nicely. Okay, so now we can work with the waterfall, and you're just going to alternate. So we're going to remove your score tape backing. And we'll start with the first one on the right hand side. Okay, and then your second one we'll put on the left hand side. And then do another one on the right. So butt it up right against the last one that you did here. And the fourth one on the left. And then the last one on the right. Oh, and it's now this is the last one. You might actually have to cut just a smidge off of it, but just a tiny little bit because it's interfering with the. So just a tiny little smidge off. Because you don't want it to interfere with this one folding. So that works now. So now we can remove our score tape backing. Score tape backing. Okay, so now all of these should fold up nicely. There we go. And then these will fold over top, and we'll put one magnet here, or if you prefer you could do a ribbon closure. I think that's what I did on the last one, but I'm going to do a magnet on this one. Okay, so take a piece of score tape and put it around an inch down somewhere in the center. Remove the backing. Put your two magnets stuck together there. Another piece of score tape. And there we go, and that keeps your waterfall all nice and closed. Alright, and the last part we will now work on is the center. For the center, we have got a whole bunch of measurements. So I'll start with the largest. The largest piece is 7 7/8 by 8 1/4. 7 7/8 by 8 1/4. And then we've got a 6 1/2 by 7 1/2. 5 1/2 by 6 1/4. 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. 3 3/4 by 4 1/2. And then we've got a small pocket that will be going on this largest flap on the inside, and it is 2 1/2 by 8 3/4. Okay, so once you've cut all that out, then we will start scoring. Okay, so your largest piece, 7 7/8 by 8 1/4. Put it in your scoreboard on the 8 1/4 inch side and score at half. Okay, your next one, 5 1/2 by 7 1/2. Put it in on the 7 1/2 inch side and score at half. Then we've got a 5 1/2 by 6 1/4. 6 1/4 is at the top. Score at half. 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. Again at half with the 5 1/2 along the top of your scoreboard. And then your 4 1/2 by 3 3/4. Put it on the 4 1/2 side at the top, and again at half. And then for your tiny little pocket, you will score it at a half and 8 1/4. Turn the whole piece of paper around 90 degrees and score at half or 2. I often find it easier to score so I can hold the paper here and I score over here, but as long as there's a 1/2 inch. Okay, so those are your score marks. Put your scoreboard away. And as always, we are going to put our score tape on all of the 1/2 inch sections, miter the corners, and fold on all your score lines. So you don't need to watch me do that because that's kind of boring. So I'm going to do that, and I'll let you do that, and we'll be right back. Okay, so this is what you should have. All of them have been folded. They all have score tape on them. All of the corners have been mitered. And here is your pocket. Okay, so we will start with the biggest piece and work our way to the center. Alright, so this one, your 7 7/8 by 8 1/4, is going to go right here. And it's going to open to the left. Okay, so it's going to go on the left hand side. So remove your score tape backing. I should really start using some kind of little tool to help me with that. And kind of line it up as best you can. Okay, that one's there, opening to the left. Your next piece is the 6.5 by 7.5. It's going to open down. So I'm going to put it right on the edge of this, and it's going to open like that. I'm going to put it right at the edge so it's easier to put patterned paper on this piece. However, if you desire, you can put it right in the center and then just do like a little 1/2 inch border strip here. That is totally fine and up to you. For ease of decorating, I am putting it down at the bottom, but again, it's completely your choice. Oh, and it's not quite straight. Ah! And also, if you want it perfect, you can measure the center, but I don't usually do that. Okay, the next piece is your 5.5 by 6.25. It's going to open to the right, so we're going to put it over here. All right. And again, eyeball it as close as you can. Looks pretty good to me. And then we've got this one here, the 4.25 by 5.5. I'm going to have it opening up, so at the top of the piece that you just put down. Okay. That's what you got so far. Then you've got your last little one. And it's going to go to the left. And I should have made this maybe just a tiny bit bigger so it covered all the way. Where's my ruler? Okay, you know what? You can totally put this down just the way it is, but I just decided that I didn't like this little strip showing here. So I'm going to recut this to 3 by 4 so that it goes right to the very edge. I decided that I like that better. So bear with me. Okay, so I just made it a 1/4 inch bigger. I'm just going to reapply everything. Sorry if I just messed up your whole world there, but this is what I'm usually crafting on the fly. I usually make things up as I go, so it's hard following rules for me. Okay, so now I'm going to put this to the side. Yeah, see, I like the way that looks better. Alright, so now we are going to need some magnet. Well, let's open the whole thing up and we'll put our little pocket. I had a little pocket over on this side, so let's do that first. So remove your score tape from the sides first. And then fold up the bottom. Remove the score tape backing from the bottom, and this is just going to go right on the bottom here of your big flap. Should go right up to the score line here, but not over it. I think it might be over just a smidge too far. Oh, and this one's not going to come up as easily, is it? Oh, shoot. Okay. Can we fix it? Ah. Try this again. Ah, now I'm crooked. Ah! Gosh, good darn it. I think Katia needs more coffee, is what I think. Okay. There we go. Okay. Now we need some magnets. So I'm going to try my best to use as few magnets as I can. So our first one is going to do the big pocket. So let's put some score tape down. More score tape over top. Now I'm using larger magnets simply because I've run out of the normal magnets that I use. These are probably overkill for what I need, but it's all I got right now, so that's what I'm using. Alright, now we need one for the top. So each one of these sections is going to be magnetized. And this one. And this one. So I guess there is 10 magnets used in this section. So I didn't think I used that many magnets in this album, but I guess it is about 30 still. I don't know, I just love my magnets. I didn't realize how many I use in every album until I start doing it, but they're just such miraculous little things. Okay, and the last one. Oops. Okay, so there we go. That is the album. Now we just need to go through whatever pattern paper you're using and figure out what you would like to do with your pattern paper, and then we will bring back this piece. Oh, is it not long enough? Okay, well, that original measurement I gave you for the, because I ended up making the entire album just a little bit bigger, that's why. Alright, so this chipboard corset piece, I had told you 8.5 by 3, but it is actually, it is 8.5 by 3. I gave you the right measurement. I just cut it wrong. I cut mine at 8 3. Okay, so the measurement that I gave you was right. I just need to cut this properly. Okay, so I'm gonna recut that and figure out your pattern paper, and then we will start decorating the whole thing and putting our swing tabs, etc., 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 and finishing it all up. All right.